What's going on, ladies, gentlemen, non-binary friends? That's a different intro to a different show, isn't it? Ooh, look at me, dipping into different things. But hello, everyone. It is the J&J Power Hour. I've been promising for weeks we weren't going to talk about wrestling. And I don't know if we're going to talk about wrestling in this episode because we don't know what we're going to talk about this week. It's one of these episodes where, like, I don't really have anything in mind. Let's just click record, see what the fuck happens. But first and foremost, JPJ, you've been away. You missed between two beards last week. I seen Pluggo steer the ship.
It was a disaster. Did you see it?
What a fucking nightmare, hey? What a nightmare.
It was a nightmare. What a nightmare. I knew it. I even tuned in. I was on vacation. I was like, you know what? I'm going to tune in for the beginning, say hello in the chat, whatever. And typical Pluggo fashion. And Pluggo, you know we love you.
Of course.
But typical Pluggo fashion. The second the show starts, all he's saying is, I can't hear anything. Great. I can't hear anything.
Sick.
And I'm like, unbelievable.
Sick.
Unbelievable. And then they recovered. And they had a good show. But I was just like, see, I leave for 1 week off the rails.
You'll be back this week, though. Don't worry.
Oh, yeah. And we got a guest this week, too.
So. Ooh, exciting.
We got Mitch Clark, former MMA fighter, now pro wrestler. And he will be on the Love Wrestling show that's coming up in a little bit, too. So, yeah, we'll have him on the show. It'll be fun. So, technically, by the time this is released, tonight, 8 p.m., Love Wrestling.
Hell yeah. Go and check out Between Two Beards. But how was your time away? You told everyone you were going on vacation. I believe you said it on this show last week. You were going on vacation. How was your time away?
It was wonderful. I went to the state of Vermont, which is very mountainy. It's winter here, so we woke up to snow flurries every day overlooking mountains, and nice little snowy lit up downtowns, like the prototypical. If you were thinking about like a small New England winter town or something like that would be the downtown of where we stayed. So,
hell yeah.
But it was they had a lot of good, really good craft breweries. That's what they're known for where we were. So we had a lot of good beer for the weekend, a lot of good food. It was a nice little getaway of relaxation. So it was a good time.
Everyone, I always say this, no matter how busy you are, no matter how much time you don't have, always take a day or two, even if it's literally whatever you want, whatever you consider rest and relaxation. If that means sitting your ass in your house on a couch, by all means. If that's your idea of peace and zone out, just do it, because like I think it's really important for your body and for your mind just to take a day. Just go, okay, I don't care what's on today. I don't care how busy I am today. I'm just going to do if that means going on a road trip, if that means watching TV, if that means playing a video game, if that means going for a big walk with your dog. I don't care what it is. Whatever your idea of that is, do it. If you like to go away and have rest somewhere else, like JPJ, go do it. But I always say that, like, whatever relaxes you, whatever lets your body take a bit of a break, it's really important to do that more often than not, to be completely honest.
More often than most of us probably do.
Yeah.
It's and I think, and I don't, we've talked about it on a lot of episodes. I don't want to talk about, but the last 2 years have really made you think about time a little differently, or at least for me, it's made me think about what am I actually like, how much time do I take for myself?
Yeah.
Right. And like, I come home from the shoot job work every day, and like, I'll play video games some days, or I'll watch TV, I'll watch wrestling, things like that. Like I do have the things that I do daily that help me escape from work and escape from the grind and, sometimes the stress of things. But there's really nothing like truly taking like time for yourself, like self-care, like having a me day, whether it is going away for a weekend or like you said, like I'm just going to stay in my house and binge watch a TV show today.
Yep.
Or I'm just going to do this or whatever. Like we need those days. Well, you need those days because that's kind of like recharges the battery up a bit, and I feel like in society, whether you're on one side of the world where you are or here, we get lost in like, oh, I got to go to work. Oh, I got to do this. 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 You just get stuck in it because it's just what we do. And we probably do not take enough time for ourselves that we all need. So I agree with your sentiment. If you earn the time, you have the time, take the time.
Yeah.
Take the time, get away from things, turn your cell phone off for
Yeah,
a
that's
weekend.
so important. Turn your
Just,
phone off.
you
I'm
know?
on my phone constantly. Everyone sees me post 7,000 times a day. But even I am
Mhm.
just sometimes like, I'm just going to turn my phone off, put it away from me so I don't get distracted by it. And just like last week, I took a day. I can't even remember what day it was, but I was like, I had some stuff to do. And I was like, you know what? This isn't that important that I get this done today. I'm going to sit my
Mhm.
ass on my couch and I'm going to binge Parks and Rec all day. And guess what? That's what I fucking did. And it was awesome. And
Yeah.
I just, the things that you have to do will be there for you when you return. Like, it's not like, unless they're like life or death or like there's something you absolutely have to do at that moment, things can wait.
Mhm.
You know, pretty much everything can wait. Just do that sometimes. I sat down, I watched Parks and Rec for hours, and then I went, okay, I feel better now. Now I can go get the stuff that I want to do done. And I did. And guess what? Everything was there waiting and nothing was different. I still got the stuff done. It just meant like, okay, I'm not going to do my dishes today. That can be tomorrow's problem. Today
Yeah.
I'm going to do
Those will be
this.
there waiting for you. Those will be
Exactly.
there waiting for
They
you.
don't just get up and walk away. Like, they're there for you when you
Yeah.
get back. And hey, but if that's your rest, if your rest and relaxation means cleaning up your house, some people find relaxation and rest in doing stuff around the house. By all means, go do that. Sometimes I just like to mentally check out from other human beings, to be completely honest. That's my rest. Whether that means
Mhm.
sitting on my computer, listening to some music, or watching Parks and Rec, or playing PlayStation, or spending time with Giddy. Sometimes I just like to sit down and not talk to other people because that's just my checkout. I don't do it that often, but when I do it fucking hard and I enjoy it. So
Yeah.
rest is important. I didn't really, you know, I'm a big proponent of like just whatever your time is, just do it because
Yeah.
you know, it's just it's very important for your body, but for your mind because man, oh man, like you said, the last few years, but it's just been it's a whirlwind, especially when you're in the grind of things too. Like I've been at the
Mm.
job I'm at for nearly 9 years. And listen, at this point, I can nearly do that job with my eyes closed in a sense of like my body knows what to do at what time. I'm just like in the cycle of things. And sometimes that can be exhausting because you're not actually stimulating your brain. You're just kind of like in the
Yeah.
zone of things. So sometimes it is just not that's exhausting and yeah, I just take the time for myself. So just do that. You know what is something that's very exhausting, something that I don't like is going to the dentist. I went to the dentist last week and
Oh.
I don't like the dentist. Ever
Okay.
since I was a child, I don't like the dentist. I went to the dentist just to, just general, you know, I hadn't been to the dentist in a while, time to go get some things, just in
Mhm.
case. Nothing was wrong, just went to the dentist and I was freaking the fuck out. My God, I was sitting in the waiting room. And because of COVID, there's so many
Oh yeah.
protocols in place. Like there can only be so many people in the, what's it called? The dentistry office, I guess. I don't
The
know.
wait the
Waiting
oh, in
room.
the office? Yeah,
I guess.
waiting
I
room
don't know what.
kinda? Yeah.
So there can only be so many people. So you have to stand. We had to wait. There's like a check-in point outside where you go, okay, my appointment's at this time. They're like, okay, there's this many people in the waiting room, so you need to wait out here. Then you can be moved into the waiting room and then into the dentist chair. I don't know
The
what the fuck you would call it.
the office
Yeah, I don't
or
know.
the
The actual
yeah,
bit where you go to
the
get
room.
the
One of
room.
the rooms.
I don't fucking know, but you just go into the dentist. But yeah, so I had to wait for ages outside and then move inside to the waiting room and then from the waiting room go in to see the dentist. It was like, oh my God, because there's capacity limits on things. I don't know if you guys still have like capacity limits on buildings. We do still. There can only be so many people
No.
per square meter, and that's how many people can be in a room because of COVID. And we still have mask mandates, my guy. So, you know,
Well, Boston, I live in, Boston, they just announced yesterday that like to go to the main arena, like where Raw would be or SmackDown, the TD Garden, as of today, you no longer need to show your Vax card.
oh.
So we're going, we're going the hey, we don't care. We're done with it.
We're still
It's
not
been
allowed to
2 years.
dance at a
We're done.
nightclub, my guy. We're not
All
allowed
right.
to. I
Yeah.
think some things are being lifted soon.
Mm.
But yeah, we're still in masks. Australia wide still has a mask mandate. Um, we did have to check in at buildings with a QR code to let the government know like where we've been so then they can
Yeah.
trace it. We don't have to do that in like retail settings anymore. We still have to do that in like any restaurant or anything with food.
Yeah. See, it depends on where you are though, because I was just in Vermont for the weekend, and they were way more strict
Mm,
than the state that I live in.
mm,
So the state that I live in, you don't gotta show your Vax card. You don't have to do anything. Like you don't even have to wear a mask. Like my
mhm,
company that I work for, my real shoot job, I have to wear a mask.
mhm.
But like other than that, like the customers that come into the building, they don't have to wear masks. Like it's not like that. But in Vermont, we had to like there were signs everywhere that was like, even if you're vaccinated, you must wear a mask. Like it
We
was
haven't had
everywhere.
we've been in
So
masks. We've had a mask mandate in South Australia, the state I'm in, since last May. And we have to wear a mask everywhere unless you're outside. Vax cards were attached to our phones. So when you would check into a building, it would also have if you're vaccinated or not. But we didn't have a lot of
mhm,
there was some places that was like you have to be double vaxxed to get into this place, but not everything was like mandatory with double vaccinations. A few jobs now won't allow you to be employed unless you double vaxxed. And then obviously there's booster shots now and stuff like that. But double
mhm,
vaxxed is what everything has to be with them. But yeah, it's odd. It's I don't know when I would like to listen. I'm pro mask. I'm pro all of it. Pro all these rules. But fuck
I
me,
think
I'd
you're
like
gonna
to
say that. Yeah,
take it off.
yeah,
I'm so ready to take this thing off. I'm vaccinated. I'm very careful with who I am around. I pretty much just go to work and come home at this stage. But also like, listen, I'm very prepared to get COVID if I get COVID. You know what I mean? Like I'm vaccinated. I'm doing all the right things. Can I just move along now because I'm sick and tired of. I'm in the middle of summer, my guy, and I'm
oh
sweating up a
yeah,
storm.
the
I'm
worst. Yeah,
sweating up a storm in this mask, and it's hot. I get lightheaded. I know it's like petty little things, but like I'm ready to take off my mask. I
yeah,
really
yeah.
am. But I'll still do the right thing. I'm not, and I'm anti-mask or anything because I'm not. I do what's told of me. But I personally, I'm just like, I need to
Yeah.
take this thing off. I'm tired.
Yeah.
I just want
No,
some
I agree.
normalcy.
I agree. We share the same sentiment. I have been, and we've been vocal on here. I'm very pro do
Oh,
whatever.
yep.
Yeah, I'm very pro all of it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'd like to go to work and not have to
Sweat my
have a
ass.
mask
And
on
you got
for
a big
nine out,
beard
nine,
too,
10.
so you would
Yeah,
just
and I'm a big dude. I'm a bigger dude too. So
yikes.
if I'm moving at a good pace and doing what I'm supposed to be doing, bigger, I got the big beard, I got a mask on. It's cold outside now, so it's kind of okay. But we're only a couple months away from springtime, summertime, and if I still got to wear this thing year 3, I'm gonna lose my mind.
I
I'm gonna lose my
know.
mind
We're
because it's
going into
2020,
Woo!
2022. All right, cool.
I'm done
Cool.
with it
And
too.
again, I am pro everything,
Me too.
but I'll take my chances at this point. Like I'm not there because I'm not gonna not do what I'm supposed to.
Yeah.
But at this point, that's how I mentally feel. Like, you know what? I've lasted this long. I'm okay. I'll
Yeah.
take my chances. I'll
Me
take my
too.
chances.
Me too. And
So
I think they should be optional. Hey, if you want to wear a mask and you feel more safe to wear a mask, absolutely.
absolutely,
And I'd probably still wear a mask if I'm just
certain
going into the
places.
store or if I'm just going into
Yeah.
different places. But when I'm at work for 8 hours, 9 hours a day, it's difficult because I'm running around as it is. Everyone knows I work retail. Don't come at me with any of that bullshit. Retail is a hard job and it is a very
So,
physically demanding job. You are running around like crazy all day, and you
mhm.
sweat. And I'm a very sweaty person by nature. I'm just hot all the time and I don't like it. That's why I don't like summer. I'm so excited that it is the 23rd here? Yeah, no, 22nd.
Yeah.
22nd. It's Tuesday here. The 22nd today, and there is 6 more days of summer because March is just around the corner, and that means that it's autumn here. So, autumn is my
Yeah.
favorite season of the entire freaking year. I love autumn
That
to
is
bits. It
mine
is
as
the
well.
perfect weather. It's not too hot, not too cold. Sometimes you're in a hoodie, sometimes you're not. Sometimes you're in long pants, sometimes you're not. I like that weather because it's just beautiful. You can open up your house and there's beautiful breeze coming in. It's like, this is the best time of year. And then you go into winter, which I personally like winter. I like the cold. So I'm ready for that. It gets darker earlier because daylight savings is coming to an end. It's just better. Okay. It's just better. You can cuddle. You can do all that kind of stuff. It's just better. It's just better weather, okay? I'm a proponent of winter and colder months. Everyone loves summer, especially in this country for some fucking reason, even though we're on fucking fire in summer all the time. I just don't understand it. Because it gets hot. If and I can tell anyone that's listening to this that isn't from this country gets fucking hot. And you haven't experienced summer until you've experienced an Australian summer. JPJ, if you
I
hate
don't
the
doubt it.
summer, you would hate it here. You would just be constantly in a sweat. It's been
Yeah.
awful. And we've had a really humid summer too. So it's just been like raining and humid and sticky and gross.
And that's where from where I'm from in New England, we experience all 4 seasons where we are.
Yeah.
And the summertime, it's all humidity. So like where we are, there's like you have a couple dry heat days, but it's humidity. So not only is it, and I know you guys do Celsius, I do Fahrenheit, but not only is it 85 to 95, sometimes we have days that push on 100, but it's 90% humidity.
Yeah, that
so not only is it 95 degrees out, where if you step outside, you're like, God, it is brutal. You can't breathe. It's sweltering humidity.
Yeah,
humidity.
And you're like, is what kills
this
me.
Is just the worst.
Because you can't get cool, especially going to bed and it's humid and you're just like,
and that's part of the reason. That's another reason why I'm not a huge summer guy. Don't get me wrong. I like summer activities. I'm not against summer activities. I like having fun. Some of them, swimming. I like swimming.
I can't swim. Genuinely. Oh, poor me. Yeah, I'm pathetic.
But like in the winter, which I'm a pro winter guy. You and I are the same. Fall is my favorite. But I enjoy the winter. I enjoy the cold.
I love that you guys call it fall. Because leaves fall on the ground.
Yeah,
it's the most American thing in the world.
We're simple people. We're simple.
Autumn.
We're simple.
Autumn for anyone that doesn't know what fall
autumn.
is.
Yes, we call it fall, but yes, autumn, fall. I like winter too, but like if you're cold, you can just layer up and get warm.
You can't.
If it's 100 degrees outside, bare minimum, if I'm in public, I have to have a t-shirt, a shorts, and I can't. I'll get arrested if I do anything improper.
You can wear 8 jumpers if you want to. Put on 8 hoodies if you be my guest.
I can put on a hood. Yeah, I can put on a hoodie, a jacket, a scarf, multiple hats.
It doesn't matter.
Earmuffs.
And no one will look at you weird because you're cold. You're like, all right,
they'll be like, oh, it's winter.
But if you have your dick out when you're hot, you get in trouble.
You can't do that. You can't do that. You go to jail. You go to jail. That's how that happens. So either you stay inside, we have air conditioning, and you're like, okay, it's fine in here. Or you go outside, and if you're someone, again, bigger dude, big beard, I keep it all year round. It's brutal. It's brutal.
Screw that.
And it's like, well, I'm stuck out here. So
yeah, it's awful. Speaking of having your dick out, have you seen that new trailer for Carmella and Corey Graves' YouTube show that's coming to the WWE YouTube, their reality show?
I have not. I heard I saw some banter about it in our Love Wrestling Slack chat, but I have not watched the preview. I saw your tweet right before we hopped on.
Very horny. They're doing some kind of like YouTube exclusive reality show on Carmella and Corey Graves. And basically, it's just them having sex. It's real fucking weird. It's like if Ms. and Mrs. was porn. I don't really understand what's going on.
And this is a YouTube-only show for them.
And apparently, it's in 4-minute episodes 2 times a week.
4-minute? Poor Corey.
That's not a fucking episode. Oh, poor guy.
No, you said it was porn. Come on.
I could have sex like 6 times in 4 minutes. What are you talking about? Not to brag. But, it's interesting. I mean, good for them. They're good looking people. Bang away. But like, also, do we need to hear about you using, a dildo? I don't think so.
Wait, was that in the...
There was a dildo. Someone had screen capped something and there was like a dildo just in there, but it was blurred out, but like there was just a dildo. I don't know.
And this is WWE approved.
Yeah. So basically, I think it's like an you know how they have their podcast, they talk about relationships and they have a podcast, those two, and everyone thought there was this teaser that they kept putting up and everyone thought their podcast was going video on WWE's page and WWE was going to sponsor it.
Oh, that would make sense.
And everyone was like that, but then it turned out to be a reality show and they're just basically talking about sex. I'm not kidding, by the way, guys. They literally, this trailer is just like, they're horny. It's real weird. But yeah, they have like a relationship podcast and they talk a lot about like just having sex and just being in a relationship. Whatever. Good for you.
Mhm.
I mean, it's pretty vanilla. It's on WWE's thing, but it's just like odd. It's just like, why are they so horny, and why is this trailer just about them being horny?
That's bizarre. I'm gonna have to check it out once we're done here. But
um,
no, not
I
for
mean,
come on.
I will watch
But
it. I will watch it just to be like,
are
what?
you gonna? I mean, if it's only
Straight
four,
people
if
are
it's
fucking
4-minute
weird.
episodes, like
What's the point?
I've watched a lot. I probably watched a lot less entertaining things for 4 minutes than on that show will probably end up being. So if they're only doing 4-minute episodes, I'll
Apparently,
probably at
I
least
don't
check out
know.
the
I don't
first
know.
couple.
I seen a report on it, and someone had said they're 4-minute episodes, and there's like 10 episodes or something like that. I don't know, but it'll be. I mean, I'll watch it just to be like, are they gonna fuck? Like, are they gonna fuck on here? I don't know.
Yeah.
Good for
Very
them.
bizarre. Yeah, I mean, yeah, cool. Yeah, Carmela's from around where I'm from, so
Even though she's from Long Island.
yeah, Long Island. No, she's from Massachusetts.
Yeah, she's from literally from Boston, isn't she?
Yeah.
Don't they hate one another?
Long Island, not so much. It's more of a New York City type
okay.
thing, like Red Sox,
But
Yankees
still,
baseball rivalry is big. Yeah, but yeah, all of New York.
what are you
Yeah,
doing?
we don't. Yeah.
Like, what are you
Like
doing?
it's one of those things where, like, for me, I'm a big sports fan, and I've grown up in the Boston area my whole life, so I'm very passionate about the Boston sports teams. I love all of them. I support all of them. It's not so much anymore in my old age, but like if you would have talked to me when I was your age, like 10 years ago, if I even saw someone in a Yankee hat, I'd be like,
fuck that guy.
loser. Yeah, like bum. Like, you know what I mean? Like, no idea. Could be the nicest, sweetest guy or girl, any sweetest person. And I'd be like, fuck you.
Yeah.
I'd be like, you know what? You're a piece of shit.
Same with
just because they're wearing a
it's
Yankee
the same
hat.
thing here,
I still
guys.
a smidge of me still feels.
I'm an Adelaide
like,
Crows person, right?
you know.
AFL Adelaide Crows, and the other Adelaide team is called Port Adelaide. There's a Port Adelaide Power. If I see someone in a Port Adelaide Power hat or jersey,
it disgusts you.
I am like, you're scum. You're literally the bottom of the earth.
Yeah. I mean,
I hate you.
Look, it's just it's part of the fabric of being a sports fan. You like the team, especially if you root for the teams that are in the city you grew up. Like, there's people that don't. I'm sure there's people. You know, we have people here that like. But if you grow up and you support these teams for a long time, like it's part of the like. I consider the Boston Red Sox and the Patriots like they're part of my blood. They're part of who I am as a person. You know what I mean? And yeah. I'm going to root for him. I'm going to be very passionate about it.
Dude,
so like, it's one of those things.
I'm the same.
Yeah,
Adelaide Crows
until I'm an old man.
I will be the same. I'm not even the world's biggest AFL fan, but like I see Adelaide. Let's go Adelaide Crows, and especially at the moment because the Adelaide Crows, we're in an off season at the moment. Our seasons start in March. It's a winter sport, so it runs March through September. But basically, Adelaide Crows have been doing horrible. Like the last few years, they have not been a good team. So like when they win,
last place horrible, or just kind of like middle of the pack, or
like they're bottom,
real bad,
bottom of the ladder. There's
good.
6.
Gotcha.
Listen, I'm going to be wrong because I'm not like the greatest with AFL, but I think there's 16 teams. We're usually placing like 15th, 16th, like so bottom of the ladder. Like we're not even in the top 8. Go into the finals. We're never in the top 8 in the last few years. It's been a long time since we've won a premiership, which is like the end all be all.
The league.
So it's not great for us. So when we do win, like fucking hell, yeah. So AFL,
we're partying.
AFL runs, like I said, they have like a preseason, and then they have the AFL Women's League is on right now. That's only recently begun in the last few years. And then the preseason for the guys is in like starts soon, and then you go into your full season.
Nice.
And you have like, obviously they go like how they do with other sports. You go around the country and they play different sports. They have like a league. And when Port Adelaide and Adelaide play, that's called a showdown because it's the two Adelaide teams.
I bet that's a heated.
Oh my fucking God. Like I've been to one showdown in my life in Adelaide.
And these are, you only play one game a week? Is it one game a week?
So they used to just run Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but now I think they run Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And you have, your 16 teams.
Games.
So you have one game on Thursday. There will be Thursday night footy, and then there will be a Friday night game. Then there'll be a game in the afternoon on Saturdays, plus a twilight game, which is Saturday night. And then there's I think there's 3 on Saturday, 3 on Sunday, 1 on Monday, something like that. There's so many games that play, and they play. So you have a couple in Melbourne, a couple in Sydney, a couple in Brisbane, and Adelaide games.
Each team only plays like once a week, though.
Yeah, so each team plays once a week.
Gotcha.
So you have like a what's the word? Like a how do you explain this?
Schedule?
Yeah, that's the word. Schedule. And it'll be like, so say Adelaide will, so 1 week Adelaide will play home. So they'll be in the home ground and they'll play in Adelaide. And then the next week Adelaide will go and play in Melbourne because they're an away game. So you would have a home and away game. So basically there's so many teams in each state. We have 2. Victoria have like a bunch. Western Australia have a couple. New South Wales have 1, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
So yeah, everyone plays 1 game. I think 1 team gets a bye a week. I think that's how it works. I'm not exactly sure.
That's kind of how like pro football works.
Like I said to you, I've talked to you about AFL so many times. If I actually had the rules in front of me, because I'm not like right up with there. I just like it for what it is. I'm casual. It's my one sport that I watch, so I'm a very casual viewer. But like I understand it as it's happening, but it's very hard for me to, when you don't watch, you don't study something enough where you're like, I can spew all the rules at you. But if it's on, I can be like, oh yeah, this happens, blah, blah, blah. But I already have said to you so many times, we need to do a stream of this. I have the game and I'll play the game and you can chill out.
Oh, but yes, you have told me. Yes.
You would like AFL because you love sport. And if you, like, it would take you a few goes to be like, I don't know what the fuck's going on. Once you adapted to the rules, I feel like you would genuinely enjoy it. You'll be like, hell yeah, this is a good time. Like, it's football. It's just it's Australian. It's Australian Football League. It literally is that. You would really enjoy it. There's contact. There's balls and stuff. I don't know how to explain sport to a sport person, but you would like it. I feel like you would like it, and you would find your team that you like.
I watch all types of
exactly, and I think it airs in America. I'm not kidding.
I've definitely seen it. I've seen games on television that I've watched. I don't know the rules, so I'm like, all right, yeah, cool. Like to me, and I don't want to sound like sacrilegious. This is me being. It seems somewhat like rugby. Somewhat.
It has got
like the visual look of it to me.
As an Australian,
as a dumb American,
I would look at you and go, it's nothing like rugby, but I can understand why you think it's like rugby. It has got a rugby feel, but AFL is much better. Much better.
Yeah.
I will tell you when we sit down, I'm going to plan this in the next week or so, JPJ. I'm going to say, this is the day you're coming on stream with me. I'll set you up on Discord and you can just literally watch me play it and you can be like, oh, okay, I kind of get this. We're going to do that. Yeah. I'm going to lock it down and do that in the next week.
I'm down.
I'll grab you for a couple of hours. I'm like, you're coming to hang out on my Twitch and we're going to do this and it's going to be a fun time. But anyway, it basically, and I'll give you like the layout of the teams. I'll let you pick who like your team. You go, okay, maybe this team is mine. You can learn the players. Of course, there's captains. Like you would have like your, like, you know how you have, I guess the quarterback would be your main person.
Quarterback is like the guy that kind of runs the offense.
Yeah, we have a captain in AFL and they kind of are the leader of the pack and stuff like that. You can check out the Adelaide Crows. I'll try and persuade you to go for Adelaide, but there's some teams I'm like, don't go for them. They're losers. And there's certain teams within the AFL that if you go for them, everybody looks down upon you. You know what I mean? They're called Collingwood in this place. Collingwood are the ones that everyone's like, oh, you're a Collingwood
is this
supporter.
because are they a bad team or are they a good team?
They're pretty good for the most part. Okay. They can get a little middle of the road, but like the stereotype is that like their supporters are scumbags. Like they'll spit on you and shit like that. Got you? You know those kind of So, but they're a Victorian team.
That's like Philadelphia over here in the States. That's like
right. Sure.
So like Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. They have the reputation of being like the nastiest fans.
That's
like
what Collingwood.
They booed Santa Claus.
Yeah, Collingwood. So basically, when WWE came over to Australia for Super Showdown, it's not on the network anymore. They took it out because Elias sang an AC/DC song, obviously Australia. So he did like AC/DC on the guitar. Yeah. And the week before, the AFL Grand Final was on in MCG, which was where Super Showdown was. And Collingwood, they choked. They lost, right? And
they were in the game. They made it to the finals?
Yeah, they made it to the grand final. It was obviously two teams, 1-on-1.
Yeah.
And Collingwood choked. Everyone thought they were going to win, and they fucking choked in this grand final. And everyone was thrilled. So Elias
I was going to say everyone was pumped.
Elias thought they're a Victorian team. We're in the state of Victoria. Obviously, he doesn't know AFL, and he's like, "Oh, I'm going to talk about how they choked, and everyone's going to boo me." Well, that didn't work, and he said they blew it, and everyone cheered, and everyone was cheering. It's not on the network anymore, and it pisses me off because it was one of the cool moments of that crowd because it was so to us. Everyone cheered, and he just kind of looked around and was like, that didn't work the way I thought I was going to get massive heat, and I'm getting cheered because your Collingwood choked. So not even people in their state like Collingwood.
Yeah, care. Like the real people from that area, like not the people that are associated. They're like, no, we don't root for them. We root for this team over here. You remember, speaking of heat and Elias, where the hell is he, by the way? Like, just waste.
I don't know.
Come on, unbelievable. But him and Kevin Owens they were in Seattle.
Oh, I will never forget. That was the week before Super Showdown, my guy. They were in Seattle.
Oh, right. Well,
it was in that because they were together. Remember when Owens and they fought at Super Showdown? They fought Bobby Lashley and John Cena of all fucking people.
Oh yeah,
in a tag match.
I do now. I remember. Yes.
So they were together. That was the week before Super Showdown, and I just remember that heat. And I think they were trying to replicate because that was the first time they were on TV since that happened.
Yeah.
So they were obviously trying to replicate.
So
it
they were trying to
work.
replicate it, but it missed the mark, man. That was honestly close to 7 minutes.
It was ridiculous.
The crowd not letting them do anything. It's a sore subject over there.
Yeah, but it is crazy how people can just get hooked in their sport. Like towns are so, for the most part, just adapted.
They had that basketball team, the Seattle Supersonics, since the '60s, '70s. Won a championship there, and then just out of nowhere, boom, moved them. So you can tell clearly that still is a sore subject for those Seattle people. They were like, "Oh, great, and it was like." Have you heard of do you pay attention? Have you heard of the basketball player Kevin Durant?
I know who that is.
Does that name ring about Kevin Durant?
Yeah.
He's one of the better he's one of the best players of all time. He's up there.
Yeah.
He was drafted by the Seattle Supersonics. Yeah. And he got to play 1 year in Seattle. And then they were moving the team. So that whole year, the city of Seattle knew that the team was getting moved. And they drafted Durant. And Durant immediately from his rookie year was unbelievable. And if I know, and I'm sure you do too, I know how passionate I am about my sports teams. If I woke up tomorrow and any one of them were like, "Oh, we're leaving,"
you're scumbag. Yeah.
And I'd be like, "What do you mean you're leaving?"
I hope you get hit by a truck. That's what I'm like.
Yeah, I would be like, "I hope you're." I wish horrible on no individual, but I hope the team explodes. I hope something bad happens.
Yeah, I agree.
What are you talking about?
100%. Because we have obviously in AFL, like with basketball and other things, we have drafts and people get poached from teams and they sign different contracts. And you scumbag, you grew up here in Adelaide and now you're going to go and play for the fucking Hawthorn in fucking Melbourne or some bullshit.
That's here.
Piss off.
There's been multiple Red Sox players and multiple Yankees players. That's the big rivalry that's one of the big rivalries in baseball, right? Mm-hmm. And we hate each other always. And there's been players who have been beloved Red Sox players, and they've come up to a free agency where they were free agents, and they would just go sign with the Yankees.
And you're like, "Fuck you!"
All of us would be like, "No, you're a piece of shit."
Yeah.
And then when they would come back, merciful boot. It would be like Kevin Owens and Elias in Seattle. When they walk up to the plate in baseball the first time and they announce them, everyone would be just signs, scream. Oh my God. Brutal.
All of it. Brutal. It's crazy how people can just get so wrapped up. Like I said, I'm not much of a sport guy. AFL is really the only thing that I kind of dabble in. And that's only, by the way, when I say AFL, I'm not watching every single game. I'm watching...
No,
I'm putting it on. I'm watching the Adelaide Crows and I'm just kind of putting it on in the background. And that's weird. You know, it's really weird. I didn't really care for it much as a kid or really in my early 20s. It's only been in the last few years where I'm like, I kind of want to watch this. It must be just a part of me aging that I'm just like, oh, maybe this is a thing now. And my brother and my grandpa, my dad, even mum would always watch AFL. Other than the grand final or something like that, it's the Super Bowl over in the Australian equivalent. It's on a Saturday afternoon in September. Everyone and their dog watches that. You get pissed, you get drunk as fuck, you just,
of course,
and you watch it and you eat a heap of food you guys do with the Super Bowl. So, I would always watch that, and I'd watch games like I'd watch a showdown or here or there. I would watch games, but until I'm older now, it's like if it's a Saturday night game, I'm turning that shit on. Like, well, I'm doing other stuff, but it's on in the background, and I'm having a good damn time watching the Adelaide Crows. But yeah, it is it is weird how people can get so just wrapped up and
right?
everything is about it, and that's just the ultimate driver of a city is their sports team. Because I think everyone gets city pride, and everyone gets like, especially like us, JPJ, we've been in our respective states and cities since we were kids. Life. Like I wasn't born in South Australia, but I've pretty much grown up here since I was 6 years old. So like I consider myself a South Australian. So like I'm very much like, I can talk shit about Adelaide, but if someone else comes and talks shit about Adelaide, I'm like, shut your fucking mouth. How dare you?
Yes.
But I'm allowed to say it.
I will make fun of ridiculous Boston people. I will make fun of some of the things we do, some of the way we act, because we are, okay, Boston is known for, or New England, but basically Boston, we are the type of people that we're always in a rush. Why is this taking so long? Let's go.
No patience.
Why am I waiting? Oh, it's miserable. It's a miserable trait, but it's just in the area. That's just what we are. We're always moving, like, oh, why am but we're super passionate, and we're caring people.
Yeah.
Like, are there shitheads? Yeah, there's shitheads everywhere.
Yeah.
But like, most of all, we're caring people, but the way that we present it, if you're an outsider or you're someone that's here for the first time, you're going to be like, that guy was an asshole. And you'll be like, and you and looking from a Boston person, I'm like, yeah, but not really. Like, he was being nice, but that's just the Boston way of being nice. Like, he's not being an asshole. Yes, it's abrasive. So you think like, oh man, that guy was kind of a dick. Yeah. But it was like, yeah, but like, that's just like, that guy would fight for you if you were in trouble. You know what I mean? Like, that's just like in our
maybe
nature.
This is where we can go for this episode. I know we're 36 minutes in, but like, we've already kind of been talking about the differences. Let's talk about some of the differences between maybe Adelaide versus Boston, Australia versus the States, because we're similar in a lot of ways. We're still people. We're still an English-speaking country. There's still a lot of similarities. But there's probably is a lot of differences that we probably wouldn't even notice until we're actually in respective places and go, we don't really do that here, or we do that here. But like, so you're saying like Boston is known for like being very impatient, being very fast, kind of, let's go, let's get to the next thing, like just move, and kind of come across as a little assholey in a sense.
Yeah, like there's a term over here that, and it's not just a term that Massachusetts, like it's a known term. They call us massholes.
Oh, that's nice.
Get it?
Yeah.
Boston, Massachusetts, massholes.
I like that. It's funny. So like I've stated many times, this is for shoot. I'm not making this up. Adelaide is literally the meth capital of the world. We have the most ratio to meth to people that actually do meth in the whole world. It's the number one supplier of meth in the world. I don't do meth. I know people that do meth. I know people that sell meth. I know people that just distribute it. I because the ratio of people, it's like basically every other house at this fucking stage, I'm pretty sure. But we literally do have a lot of meth in this town, or in this city, which is, what a just a claim to fame for me, is like, oh, I'm from Adelaide, the meth capital of the world. So there's always drug busts and stuff. There's always big police searches, and you see the police dogs and that out, and you're like, oh shit, someone's getting busted like for drugs,
a den or something like that. Something's going
basically
down. Yeah.
It's pretty insane that's our thing. But Adelaide is I always say Adelaide, do you know how you said you're very, like, everyone's very, let's go, let's do. Adelaide's quite a slow paced city. We're kind of known as a place in Australia where a lot of people come to retire, because while it's a city and there's a lot to do, in a sense, it's a little slower paced, it's a little smaller. So a lot of older people kind of come over from other cities to be like, hey, I still want city life, but I wanted a little bit of a slower pace. A little bit less going on. Basically, the way I describe it is when, say, Taylor Swift will come to Australia, she'll noticeably skip Adelaide on her touring. We're the one capital city of the States that maybe won't get it a big act all the time, because while we have an entertainment center, we have like an arena that can fit, I think, 10, 12,000 people.
That's
we'll
not bad.
probably sell out. A sellout for us would be 6,000. You know what I mean? Like
Gotcha.
the younger population, a lot of younger people my age will get to a stage where they're like, I'm dipping. I'll come back here and when I'm ready to just live my life and die, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a little bit more boring than say Melbourne. Melbourne's much more fast paced. Melbourne's very urban, very clean, very a young man city, very multicultural. Adelaide does have a
Mm,
lot of different cultures here, but yeah, like I said, it is very much like a little bit slower. I like Adelaide. I like being in the city because I can
mm,
handle, as a person who's grown up in the country, I've grown up in the countryside. So, like, I would have to ease my way into city living. That would be the way I'd
yeah.
have to describe it. And Adelaide would be a perfect place to start city living and then go, okay, I'm fucking done with this. Like, let me get the fuck out of
Yeah.
here and I'll go somewhere
Yeah.
else. I've never been to Sydney. Apparently, Sydney's a mess and just like a nightmare that you don't want to get involved in. A lot of people have told me that. But Sydney is, everyone thinks Sydney is the capital city of Australia, but it's not. Canberra is. That's where Parliament House is. But Sydney is basically like, you know, Sydney. You've heard Sydney.
Yeah.
Obviously,
Yeah.
it's where the Harbour Bridge is, it's where the Opera House is. It's got all our landmarks and stuff like that everyone
Hmm.
knows the Sydney Harbour Bridge. Everyone knows the Sydney Opera House. You've seen multiple pictures of those. You can climb Sydney Harbour Bridge. I'd like to experience it, but apparently it's very hard. It's very expensive. If you live in Sydney, it's very expensive. It's
Yeah.
basically our equivalent of New York in the sense of like lots
Yeah.
of tolls. There's lots of, if you live in the city, you're paying a lot in rent. Like that's just
Hmm.
how it is. Melbourne is a little bit more like, I know a lot of people my age that have lived in Melbourne because it's like that's where all the 22-year-olds go to live. It's a little cheaper,
Gotcha. A
but
little
it's
cheaper.
a lot to do. There's a lot of like nightlife. Like I remember when I was in Melbourne for Super Showdown, I spent a week in Melbourne. I've been to Melbourne a bunch of times, but I spent a week in Melbourne, and I went out to get food at like 2 a.m. and it was just people everywhere on like
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
Wednesday, and I'm like, what the hell? Like, there's just people just doing their thing, and I didn't feel uneasy in Melbourne. Like, I didn't feel like I was gonna get like mugged or anything like that. Like, it just felt very
Yeah.
safe. It's a very, and Melbourne is like a very like, I find it's a very easy city to navigate. Like the actual CBD, like the actual city, it's in like a giant
Yeah.
square. So like you go on, and there's like little alleys. They have the best coffee in the world apparently in Melbourne. Where Adelaide is like, you can get lost. Just put it that way. But
Boston is not an easy city to drive around.
I don't know about driving.
Not.
I've never driven in Melbourne, by the way. Apparently, that's
Okay.
a whole nother
Okay.
thing.
We have a
Adelaide
lot of one ways, and it just looks like
Mhm.
who designed this? What?
Adelaide
There's
is
like you can go
Adelaide is
this way,
like
but then you only
Adelaide is
can.
like it's weird. Like you have a lot of one ways where Adelaide is one of those cities where if you turn right, say for instance, and you get lost,
Mm,
you can get back to where you need to be. You don't have to go all the way around to go back down.
Gotcha.
Like you can kind of zip in and out. Melbourne, I don't think is like that from my understanding. And you said Boston is like a lot of one ways. That would be difficult.
Yeah. Yeah. And then like Boston is also like so Fenway Park where the Red Sox play.
Mhm.
It's a historic
I've heard of it.
one
Oh,
of
yeah.
the most historic one of the most historic ballparks. It's literally right in the middle. Like we don't drive to a part of Boston when there's this huge parking lot where we walk into this giant.
Oh.
It's like people live across the street.
Oh no. Oh no.
Yeah, it's like if you like after this before when we sign off, but
Yep.
we're still chatting, I'll have you Google like an above picture of Fenway Park. Like
Have a look at it right
it's
now.
it's a good sized baseball stadium, literally just in the middle of the city. Like there's just blocks around it. People live across the street. There's restaurants and buildings, and it's just in the middle. It's just in the middle of the city, and it's when you see it, you're like, wow, that truly is like, it's incredible.
Oh, I
And
see
then,
what you mean.
you know what I'm saying?
I'm seeing a picture
It's
of it
literally
right now. It's literally above,
yeah,
like
it's
there's the city, and then it's just there.
there's just the city around it. There's a huge highway behind it, like one of the main highways that gets you basically. It's the Mass Pike, so it's the main highway in Massachusetts.
What the
That's
fuck?
right behind.
I've never heard of that
but
before,
it's literally,
dude.
it's
Like
literally
all
right in the
like-
middle of the city.
All like arenas and stadiums and stuff like that.
Yeah,
are like
they usually
are
like
even when I went to Melbourne Cricket Ground, MCG, which is I think it's the biggest stadium in Australia. It holds 100,000 people. It's a big deal. Like, that's where the AFL Grand Finals played. That's where cricket happens. Obviously, Melbourne Cricket Ground. That's where Super Showdown happened. If anything big, I know I said Taylor Swift before, but obviously Taylor Swift comes and she'll play a stadium tour, and that's where she's going.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, 100,000 people I think can fit in there. I think. Like, my understanding would have that, not that it'll ever happen, but if WWE was to ever run WrestleMania here, that's where they would run it. Because I think it's our biggest. Sydney might have a little bit bigger, but I don't think they do. Anyway, but that's out of the way. Like, you have to go out of the city of Melbourne to get to the MCG.
Not here.
It's its own thing. And it's in walking distance for, like, it's probably like a 15-minute walk from the city, but it's still, within city distance. But, like, it's away, so it's not in the way. You know what I mean? Like, it's not in the way of that. When you get a chance, look up Melbourne Cricket Ground. You can see and look up an above thing. You can see that like there's no buildings and that around it. Like, I just seen friggin' that. Like, that seems inconvenient.
It does seem that way, but it's just part of, like, when there's a game and you're there, like, you go to a Red Sox game, it's just like, man, the streets are full. They got the food vendors out there. There's Fenway Park also has this thing in left field called the Green Monster. It's this huge green monster, like, wall, basically. It's like 37 feet high, and you have to hit the ball over it to hit a home run and stuff. On the other side of that, where there's literally just a street. So, like, you could be walking on the sidewalk, and the Green Monster is right here.
Well, that's
like, this is the Green this is the other side of the Green Monster. And there's, like, bars. There's, like, you can go in and get a drink in a bar that's, like, below the Green Monster.
It is. Well, so basically, the Melbourne Cricket Ground, how it's set up is, like, not far from the Melbourne Cricket Ground is, like, Rod Laver Arena, which is like a 10,000 seat, where they play tennis and like any arena shows. Like, if WWE run a live event, that's where they go to Rod Laver, or they'll go somewhere around there. There's also, like, Margaret Courts where they play. Australian Open was just not very long ago. That's where Australian Open takes place in Melbourne, so that's where it is. I'm sure you've watched tennis at some point in your life. You've probably seen.
I watch all the majors. I watch all of them.
So you've probably seen the Australian Open at some point. I've been to the Rod Laver Arena. It's a beautiful, very Melbourne. Like I said, I love Melbourne. I'll always sing Melbourne's praises. Is a very modern city. I think you would probably, if you like that kind of urban kind of feel. And you would love Melbourne for all its alleys with all its cafes, and, like, you get great breakfast down little alleys too. You got to like walk and actually find it. Like, it's not like out in the
if you can find me a good little breakfast spot on the corner where I can get a nice breakfast sandwich, it's okay. If we can get a breakfast sandwich and a real good coffee.
Melbourne literally has the best coffee in the world. You would be your belly would be just full of milk because you would just be walking on, I'm trying this. And it, like I said, Melbourne's kind of pricey with a lot of its food. That's where they make a lot of their money, I think, is because people go to Melbourne to go down these little nooks and crannies and find these cool little offsite,
like hidden, like, holes in the wall and stuff like that.
And they have a lot of bars in Melbourne, which is like a lot of like video game bars too, where you go and play Mario Kart and get fucked up.
I love those. We have a couple over here. Those are real fun.
I love Melbourne's nightlife. It's a beautiful city when it's like, so when you stay in the city, which I always do, and you stay in a hotel, I love getting those upper rooms so you can look out and it's just the lights of the city, and you've got water not far. Like, there's like a oceanfront water, not oceanfront, but it's like, it's like water right in the heart of the city. And it's just, I love that shit, dude. So Melbourne, listen, you'll come to Australia at one point. We've talked about it many times.
I'm hoping.
I will bring you to Adelaide, and then I'll take you to Melbourne. But you'll see Adelaide and you'll go, oh, this is nice. And then you'll be there for a day and you'll go, I'm ready to leave. Like, you can do everything you need to do in Adelaide in a day or two, and that's fine. There is beautiful stuff in Adelaide. I will say there's a lot of, like, beautiful nature things that you can go out and look at. Okay. Like, you can go and look at walks and look at the beautiful, that kind of side of things, where Melbourne, I have not experienced that in Melbourne. I don't think there's more city life, but
it's more city.
Adelaide has its nice, does have its nice moments. I give Adelaide, like I said, a lot of shit, but it is my home, and I do appreciate it for what it is. But I don't think I'll live here forever, to put it that way. I'd like to get away at some stage and go live somewhere else, but listen, no one else can talk shit about it, but unless you're from here, you have no rights to talk shit about it.
Exactly.
Or I give you permission. You know what I mean?
And I think that's probably how a lot of people feel about where they're from. But, like, I'm from here, so I can talk shit. It's basically like, hey, that's my brother. I can talk shit about my brother. You talk shit
Exactly.
about my brother, I'll kill you.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like that type of thing. Like
Exactly.
we're gonna fight. So
Mhm.
no, I'm allowed to talk to him that way. You're not allowed to
Yeah.
talk to him that way. It's the same thing.
Speaking
You know?
of brothers, I've said this to you before, and I've said this to everybody, but I have a brother that's 7 years older than me, but then I also have a half brother who's however the fuck younger than me, 12 years or some bullshit like that.
Mhm.
Like well, longer, more than that, 14. I don't know. He's a lot. He's 12,
Yeah.
so I'm 26, 14 years younger. Yeah, that makes sense.
Pretty
Yeah,
good.
he's 14 years younger than me.
It's a
So
whole other teenager.
it's cool. Yeah, he's nearly a teenager. He turns 13 at the end of the year. So,
Oof.
oh
Strap
boy,
in, man.
it's gonna start. It's gonna start. I'm gonna be like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm gonna
Yes,
dip
it
out for a
is.
little while here because he's gonna be a lot. Um,
He's gonna be
He's
angry. That's
angry, hormonal. He's already
yeah.
starting to
Yeah.
develop a little bit of a tude too as well. I'm like, you're getting
Mhm.
a bit of an attitude
Just
about yourself.
angsty. He's just gonna be an angsty teenager,
Everything
like we all were.
He's gonna
Like
hate
we
my
all were.
mom. He's
Oh,
just
hate
gonna
everything. Anything your mom wants him to do or whatever. Nope.
it's not
No,
happening.
not happening.
Mum's ready. She's like, I've already dealt with this
Oh
3
yeah.
times
Well,
with you
exactly. Yeah,
kids.
she's had practice.
She's
So
seasoned. She's like, listen,
yeah.
I'm
At this
fine.
point, she's gonna know how to
But it's
combat him and do whatever she needs to.
first and only kid. So like this
Gotcha.
is his first time dealing with all of this kind of stuff. And I'm like,
Yeah.
Vinny, good luck, man. Because he has
Yeah.
got so like obviously we have different dads. But he's got the sarcasm that comes from my mum's side of the family that all 3 of us, me, my older brother, and my sister all if you didn't notice, JPJ, I'm a little bit of a sarcastic little shit when I want to be. And
I haven't
my little
noticed
brother,
actually. Now you
Zach,
bring it up. So
he has got that
he's
in
got it.
spades. And I'm like, uh-oh,
Yeah.
you've got one of them. Mum's like, how did I luck out 4 times getting all the sarcasm from all of you kids? Well, my older brother was a bit different. He's the first kid, so he could get away with anything. I was the
Mhm.
second kid. So I'm like the one that everything that I didn't do exactly the same as my older brother, I was looked at as like, oh, you're not as good as your older brother. You know, that's typical.
Yeah.
I'm the middle child. It's just, it's just
See,
the whole thing.
I'm the oldest.
Oh,
I only have 2 though. I only have a younger sister.
right.
So that's it.
Oh, but it's different
she
again because she's the little
she was
baby
the better.
girl.
Yeah, and she was also like the better child. Not that I was a bad child, but
I
like
wasn't either.
she was always smarter than me. She was on honor roll.
the
She
same,
graduated magna cum laude, whatever the shit is. She graduated college. I did not complete college. So she was always like from that realm. She was always like, I was kind of not a troublemaker, but in elementary school I would get in fights, and I was kind of
Yeah.
whatever. And so she was the better child. So like I was the older one that they were like, hey, you're supposed to be setting an example for her. I'm like, first of all, no, I'm not. No, I mean, I am. I'm setting an example of what not to do.
My
That's
older
what I'm
brother
saying.
was like, he was fairly smart because he was the first kid. I think he just got a lot of buys with a lot of things of like, because
I think we all do.
yeah,
We're the first kid,
and then me,
and
I
they
think
make all the mistakes with you, and then they're
Dylan was
not
always
mistakes, but they
because there's so much. There's 7 years between me and Dylan, so by the time I was born, he was already starting school. By the time he was going into high school, I was only really just starting school. So like he had kind of dipped out by the time I was getting into things, like you know what I mean, in the sense of like school. So mum and dad were really like, okay, Josh has got to do this. Josh has got to do this. He's got to. I wasn't dumb at school, but I wasn't like the smartest kid. I didn't like getting in trouble. So like I never really did anything wrong, but I did not like school. If I could try and find a way to get out of going to school, I was finding a way to get out of going to school. I'm sick today. I've got a headache today. Or my arm's sore. Like I would do anything to not go to school. Dylan was not like that. Dylan was like very much, I just want to, he wasn't ever interested in going to like, we call it university here, but college or whatever.
Yeah.
He wasn't interested in doing that. He's like, I want to just go to school, do what I can best, and then leave school. I was always like, how the fuck do I get out of school fucking early? I still completed school, but like I was just like, I don't want to be here. I did not like school. I didn't have any interest in it. But I was a good kid in the sense like teachers always loved me. I was always fairly charming to a lot of people because I just have a way of words. And then my sister, she was the baby girl. She could do no wrong. And my sister's fairly smart.
Of course.
So like she was pretty good with a lot of stuff at school, but she's the baby girl. So like she's not going to get in trouble. She's Barbara of the family. And then of course when we all left school, then mum had another kid with a different like her second marriage.
Yeah.
Zach's kind of mum's just like, she's so like, whatever. Yep, you did this. It's fine. I don't care. You know what I mean? Like she's just so like, not like not caring about anything, but she's just like, listen, I've seen this 3 times.
No, I've seen it all.
You're
I've seen it
fine.
all.
Mum's just, I'm like, I
nothing
wish
you
I
do
was
is gonna
just-
wow me, kid.
I was like, what the hell,
Yeah.
Mum? I was like, I would have got in trouble for that. She was like, you internet fine. I don't care. She's like, let him
Yeah,
do his thing.
exactly. She's seen everything she's needed to see, so she's like, yeah, I'll be all right.
Yeah,
Everything will be good.
And like, I can see a lot of what we did in Zach, and I'm just like, oh, all right, cool. Yeah, no worries, Zach.
Makes
You've got
sense.
this.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's starting to get an attitude. He's starting to really, and I'm just like, oh man, he's going to be a fun teen. Because he comes in, you know, we all live in the same town. He comes and sees me, and I've just noticed, like, as he's gotten older, I'm like, hey, Zach, want to do something with me? No, thanks. And I'm just like, okay, great. No
And you're
problem.
just like, alrighty.
You go in, he's just like, he just wants to play his PlayStation and just be left alone. I'm like, I can understand that, my guy. So you just do that. If I ever have to watch him or, you know, mum goes away or something, it's usually me or my sister that watches him. I just put him in the other room, set up the PlayStation. He usually brings his own PlayStation. He just puts his headphones on.
Oh, really? So he'll just
he's like, I'm going to be in here.
Game.
Just cook me food. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just like, yeah, no worries.
Yeah.
So it's like he's not even, he could be here right now and you wouldn't even know. He'd just be sitting in that room playing his PlayStation, doing his thing. And I'm like, okay, what did mum tell me that you had to do? Do your homework? I don't know.
Incredible.
But listen, I look at him sometimes. I'm like, I'd love to be your age again. What a carefree time that is. I wish I knew at that time. I know teenage years are interesting, but like, oh.
Because when you're a teenager, you think that everything that's happening to you is the most important thing on earth.
Oh, yeah.
And then when you become an adult, you realize that most of it didn't fucking matter. And that's just it. And then once you realize that, you're like, man, I wish the problems
I had as a teenager were the problems I had now. My God, do I wish that.
You're like, I wish with the wisdom that I have now and the shit that I actually went through, like real stuff that I actually went through, now knowing, I would love to go back there, because the dumb shit that I was upset about or
crying over,
angry or whatever, that dumb shit back did not.
Oh my God, I wish I could go through that now. That'd be a walk in the park. You probably look at
my
me
God,
though, JPJ,
I'd be laughing at everybody.
and you're like, you're 26 years old, Josh. You've got a lot of life to live before you even have to worry about a lot of stuff.
No, I feel like once you get to that, I feel like once you get to 20, mid to late 20s, you're there. You know what it's about.
Great.
You know it. You know. No, look, that's not saying good things won't happen. That's not me. That's, I didn't mean it that way.
I know what you
good
mean.
Things happen. You know what I mean.
I know what you mean.
But like, I think, because you get to your early 20s. Oh, so the drinking age where you are is what, 18? Mm-hmm. Okay, so it's 21.
So
in
like
the United States.
16.
Yeah.
What's
the age to drive?
You get your learners at 16. So learners,
okay, so
I don't know how it works with you guys, but we're on our
For us, you get a learner's permit
for a year.
Yeah, you get a learner's permit at like 15 and a half, and you're able to get your driver's license at 16.
Yeah.
But drinking is 21. That hasn't moved. It used to be 18 way back in the day.
Because, like, listen, everyone, I'm not saying go an underage drink. Don't do that. But also, like, we all did that. You know what I mean? Like, we all, I drank it. I didn't personally.
Most people go away. Yeah. Most people go away to, no. You go away to college, you're 18 years old when you graduate high school, you go to college, 18 to 22. And most of the time, you fucking partying. That's what you're doing. You're going to class, you're doing, but you're fucking, you're experimenting, you're meeting new people. That's when you're really becoming, you're
like, I'm finally an adult. Let me go and fucking.
I'm on my own. I'm not living at home. Let me go fucking experience stuff. Let me see what I like. Let me see what I don't like.
Exactly.
Boom.
Like when you turn 18, you're always looking for, when you're a teenager, you're like, I want to turn 18. I want to be an adult. I want to do this. I want to, because pretty much 18 over here is when you can do everything. You can drink, you can smoke, you can, legal age of consent, all of that kind of stuff. So what do you want to do when you're 18? You want to move out of home. You want to drink, you want to try drugs, you want to fuck anything you can. That's what you do when you're 18 years old, is because you want to just be like, I'm an adult now, so I can do what I want. You soon realize that after a few years of doing that, you're like, this isn't
what it's about.
No, like I need to start to grow up a little bit more. But like, I wouldn't change
for us,
those
it's delayed.
years. Yeah, exactly. Like you're already a grown
So for us, it's delayed. So like by the time we're getting to that realization, we're like 23 or 24.
Fuck that.
Because and I'm saying there are plenty of people that obviously don't drink or anything. But most people, when you turn 21, you're like, oh man, I can legally drink. So the next year of my life, I'm just going to be fucking an alcoholic.
You're basically drunk more
You know
than
what I
you're
mean?
not when you're at that age.
Not to make light of alcoholism,
No.
but like that's how you're going to be like, I'm going to be going out every fucking week
Yeah.
and getting wrecked every fucking week. Like that's what I'm doing.
Any chance you get when your friend said, hey, you going out this weekend? Abso-fucking-lutely. You need to ask me if I'm not
100%.
going out, because I would always be going
Correct.
to nightclubs. I would always go to the pub. If there's an opportunity, you would be drunk on a Tuesday night and it wouldn't be weird. You'd be like, oh, it's time to get drunk tonight because that's what I'm
100%.
doing.
Oh, I'm getting off work at 10:30. All right, cool. We'll meet you at the bar and we're going to drink until 2 on this Wednesday
And then I'm
evening.
going to go
and
back
then
to
I'm
work
going to
at
go
at 7 a.m.
Yeah, 100%.
And you'd be fine.
That's what it was.
Because your body would just
or
be like,
I'd be
whatever.
like, I used to work in a supermarket before my current job years and years ago. And I usually worked the night shift. I would work like 2 to 10 or 2 to 11 every night, something like that. So my nights were literally getting out of work at 10:30 or 11, going to someone's house or going to a bar, getting wrecked, staying up till 3 or 4 in the morning, going to bed, waking up at 10,
again.
rinse and repeat.
That's what I do every day too, dude.
Yeah, exactly.
What you did.
But
and I don't regret it. I'm glad I did it because I'm glad I went through. That's just what you did. That was like, oh, I'm an adult now. This is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. You soon realize after a couple of years of doing that, you're like, this isn't steady. This isn't great. And then that's just a part of growing up. And now you're just like, before you know it, every Saturday night is you're home.
Yeah,
you're sitting
I would
have
loved to have been 20 or 21 when I realized that, and not 24 or 25 because I had to wait till 21 to drink. Yeah. So it was about 4 years. I would say probably like you're 26 now. So when I say by the time you're at 25 or 26, you're getting it. Like when I said that at the beginning, like that's what I meant, because here, by the time you get to 25, 26, you had that 2, 3, maybe 4 years of, you're out of it. You're like, all right, like now it's on.
What the fuck? And now if I did that at 26, I'd be like, well, this is just sad now. This isn't like cool. This is just, this is a little sad. But like you just move in stages of your life. I'm sure there'll be many more stages of that experience that I'm like, oh, this is this part of life. And I'm just like, and there's no age on it, guys. It's just when you're ready. I just felt ready. You're just ready for new chapters, and you're like, hey, sometimes there's still times, JPJ, and I'm sure there is for you, that I'm like, I want to go out tonight, and I want to get drunk. Now, I can't drink what I was like when I was 19, but I can still do it.
I can still throw on an MVP performance when I have to.
Yeah, when I need to. But it's just the next day and the day after that I'm like...
You got to pick your spots. You're 26? Just wait. Once you turn 30, it's like... the 30 is like the ticking clock. Yeah. Like you turn 30 and you'll wake up that next day and be like, oh, I'm sore. What is this?
Oh, sometimes I just
randomly.
I sleep on my left side sometimes, and I wake up and I'm like, oh dear God, I am in so much pain.
Just wait. Because once the body turns 30, I swear to God, it's like a switch.
Oh, great.
I've always been a bigger dude, but I've been somewhat athletic. I've played a ton of sports. I still play golf. I would consider, for a man of my size, I'm still rather athletic. Like I play sports and things like that still. I never, knock on wood, had any major injuries. Never, like, you would occasionally get hurt. Like it happens. You play in sports your whole life, but like never anything that would linger, or I wake up and be sore after a game or anything like that. I turned 30 and I'd go to work and I would wake up the next day and be like, oh, what happened?
Yeah.
Oh,
I just,
and you just get these random
wrong, and you're like, brutal. How did you hurt your neck? Oh, I don't know. I just got out of the shower.
Yeah, I slept. No lie. About 3 or 4 years ago, I went to bed one night perfectly fine, and I woke up with a herniated disc in my neck.
Exactly.
That's literally how that happened. I went to bed completely fine. Woke up and couldn't move.
Just know that
enjoy your time.
You're looking at
your time.
You're looking at literally 10 years apart in age. We're 10 years apart in age, me and JPJ. And if you're 17, 18, listening to this, just know that this is what's coming when you're this age and this age.
Yeah,
like I went through different. One day I just started getting hangovers, and I was like, uh-oh.
Yep. So you had a stretch. I'm assuming it probably happened to everybody. You had a stretch where you could go out and throw down a good one.
I could go out till
when you wake up the next day like nothing happened.
I could go out till 3 a.m. and then go to work at 7.
Wake up 2 hours later.
And I'd be like,
wake up 2 hours later, take a shower, go to work, and it was like nothing ever happened.
And then start again the next night, and I'd be fine.
Yep.
Yeah. I had a stretch of a couple of years where I could do that. And then one day I was like,
yep.
I am just, now I just am violently hungover. after I have 3
Yeah.
drinks. I have a sip of alcohol and I'm like, oh dear God, I'm going to throw up. Here we go.
But like, I got to make sure I got the calendar clear tomorrow.
Yeah, or the
'Cause
day
tomorrow's a
after as well,
recovery
because
day.
it's like fucked
Yeah.
up. It's bad. But you know,
Yeah.
that's just a part of aging. It is very fun.
It's not as bad as we're making it out to seem. It's still all right. It's still all right. But
Sure.
stay young if you can. Stay young if you can.
Young at heart. Whoa, I hit my mic.
Always. And that is one thing about me. As old as I get, I am 100% young at heart. Like I'm very much a child, I'm very much a childish, fun kid still, even though I'm not terribly far away from 40. God, kill me. I got some time, but it's creeping in. It's creeping up. But
I'm getting closer and closer to 30, so I'm like, oh.
I didn't mind. 30 didn't get me. I was all right with 30.
It's already getting me, and I'm still 4 years away.
No, you're going to be okay. 30s are the new 20s.
They say that, but I think that's just what old people say.
I don't know. I don't know how I'll feel when I get to 40, but I do feel like I do think it is something they say to make people feel better about turning 30, but there's a part of it where like the generations and the changes of generations, like my parents were married when they were 25 years old. They had me and my sister by the time they were 30. Now
people are having babies in their 40s.
Yeah, I feel like now there are plenty of people who are entering their 30s, not married, with no kids, like still planning on making that a very integral part of their life. But it's not like it was before where it's like, oh, I'm 20. I got to, what the hell's going on? Now it's like,
And people are more okay with being on their own in the sense of like independence and like it's more of a norm, I think, now than it ever has been. It's more of a strength, I guess I could say, than it's ever been, of like, I am on my own. I'm happy. I'm doing just fine. Like, it's a sign of strength, I think, more so than a sign of like pity or weakness of being on your own. I would agree. Which is it's a good thing. But yeah, people are, I think, delaying that because, especially, I would say, as women have progressed in society too, there's a little bit, not that there's no pressure, and I'm not a woman, so I wouldn't exactly know, but there seem to be more of a less of a society pressure of like, oh, I need to be married and popped out 3 kids by the time I'm 28. Exactly. You know what I mean? Like, now it's women are like, no, I'm going to have my job. I'm going to work really hard at my job. And when that happens, and that I feel like I'm at a good spot where I can step away and step back in when I'm, done having babies and whatever it may be. I feel like that's kind of taken a role in society. And there's a certain level of feminism that comes into that. From a women's, again, I'm not a woman, so it's hard to say, but like, from society's view, that's how I think a lot of women now view things, of that's a sign of strength. And I'm not saying family is a sign of weakness if you decide to have kids when you're 22. I'm just saying like women in general are more like, hey, I want to have my career and stuff. It's not just all about, when you're little and we're guys and we're told when we're 30, we need to be a CEO of a company, and women are told you need to be having children and being a wife. Like, men are not told that they need to have kids by the time they're 30. They're told that they need to be successful in their job by the time they're 30. So I think there's a little bit of like a thing of like women are being like, why do we have to be the ones that are...
I think that's really I would say that's probably the main reason why the generational shift has happened. Because I feel like, and I think we've talked about it on like different episodes, but like in the United States, women couldn't get their own bank account until 1960. Until the 1960s. And guess what? That's not that long ago. It's only 60 years ago. In the UK, it was like 1975.
I don't know when it was
50
here, but
years
I think
ago.
it was around the same. I assume
that's on the like same. That's not terribly. That's younger. Like, my mom was alive.
So was mine.
My mom was alive, and she was a child, but like my mom was alive, and her mom, my grandmother, God rest her soul, couldn't have her own bank account. What? Excuse me?
It is cool. I find it really fascinating. As the millennial, I guess, am I a millennial? Yeah, I'm a millennial. I think. I
think technically I'm still a millennial as well.
Yeah, I think you are as well.
I'm of the old, like I'm at the top of the oldest millennial barrier.
So like being born in 1995, right? There's a lot that's changed in the 26 years since then. But my generation of what I went to school with, what I grew up with, is kind of the first generation to kind of spearhead women's rights and society differences and gay rights and trans rights. And that's my age group is the ones that are kind of championing that. And now the whatever the fuck we're Gen Z.
Yeah,
I think
right?
Gen Z. They're now taking it and
yeah.
running with it and kind of, they've created something from it. But it was cool to grow up in being in high school and watch a kind of society change a little bit, because it didn't happen until recently with a lot of things.
Oh,
like
yeah.
a lot of things.
100%.
So like it is kind of cool to be a part of that generation and be like, hey, that's a millennial thing to say, like, hey, like we did that, and there's been a lot of change, and there's been a lot of regressing with a lot of stuff that we've created, and Gen Z have created this cancel culture, and I think we kind of started that, but it's gone to another level. But it's not all bad. Cancel culture is not all bad, in my opinion. Some people are like, fuck cancel culture. I'm like, no, I think people need to be canceled sometimes for some of the stuff they do, but I think we just take it to the extreme. But that's a different topic for a different day. But it is kind of cool to see that as I was growing up in high school. It's like, hey, these are the people that are making change in the world right now are my age. And that's kind of
my age, yeah.
It's kind of insane to think of that. And like growing up, remember this, like this is how recent stuff is. Growing up as a confused gay person, I wasn't aware that I'm like, oh, if I'm come out as gay, I can't get married. Because that didn't happen in this country till 2017. So like I was out of school.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like,
brutal.
Like that's when people are like, oh, society changed a long time ago. It's like, no, I wasn't aware of my future if I came out and I could get married.
Yeah.
So like a bunch of other things on top of that as well. But like, that's pretty insane. Like it's been in the last few years since.
Yeah. That's 5 years ago. That's literally 5 years ago. And that's not far.
I remember that day that got legalized here, because there was a lot of stuff. We had like postal votes that would come out and we'd be like, do you agree with equality and marry? I didn't even know I was gay at that point. I was just confused. But like I was not out, obviously. And I remember like voting and then sending it away. And a few months later, they announced that gay marriage was legalized. And I was like, holy shit, I'm living literally in history. Like you seen gay marriage get legalized in the States, and that wasn't all. That was what, 2009?
That was I was going to say 2009 or 2002. It was definitely under Obama.
Yeah, it was under Obama.
2008.
I remember that.
He was 2008 to 2016. So my first guess was 2012 for some reason, but I think you might be right with 2009.
I think I remember, and I think it was 2009 or 2010. But I mean, you're having a look now. I can see you having a little search.
Yes, I am. I'm looking up. Sorry.
No, please go for it. But it is kind of weird that we've lived in a society and in our generations, JPJ, that we've seen that happen. Among other things, I'm just saying it from this perspective. But like that is crazy to me. Like that's I didn't grow up.
Well, technically, so we had our first state was in 2004. Right. However,
is that California? It was, for some reason,
I believe so. Yes. Yeah. Yes.
They seem very progressive in that area.
all 50 states was 2015.
Oh, wow.
It was all 50 states. But Obama did before. So, 2009. So you were right. 2009 is when Obama did the thing that he did to kind of make it much more legalized. But technically, it was not legalized in all 50 states until July of 2015.
That is insane to me, dude.
Yeah.
People couldn't do what they wanted to do.
That's,
Do you think it will?
Less than 10 years ago.
Do you think if certain powers that be got back into the presidency, that it would ever be regressed? Do you think it would ever go away? In your country?
No.
You don't think it would ever happen?
I could see it definitely coming up for debate, depending on certain people. But I
what would happen if we lived in a world where they took that right away? There would be serious rioting and war.
Yeah, I mean, we were close. Look I know people are going to think I'm exaggerating. If anybody watches this from the U.S. or have read up on U.S. news the last couple of years, I used to crack jokes, like small jokes, being like, "Oh, we're having another civil war." Yeah, Civil War Part 2 is coming at some point. Part 2. 100%.
And you look at now, by
I
the
would-
way, what's going on in Russia and Ukraine with all of that stuff that's going down over there. As we record, I don't believe an invasion has happened from Russia to Ukraine, but that's insane to think that they're going
Yes, it
into
is.
a war.
It's scary is what it is. Yeah, exactly. I think if that were ever to happen over here in the States, I think that would be a moment that I think could spark something. Whether it would be a civil war, God, I hope not, or whether it'd be a revolution or whatever.
I don't know
I
what
think
would
that
happen.
that would be the thing where people, it doesn't matter what side you're on, there would be people from every side, every angle, every political, whatever you want to call it, that would affect.
It's just
That would affect. And I think that would be something that obviously it would be an awful thing, but like,
oh my goodness.
I think that would be a thing where people would be like, no, we're not
People would
allowing
leave that
this to happen.
country.
Yeah, like
a
we are
heartbeat.
not allowing. We don't know how. We don't know what we're going to do. We don't know how we're going to do it, but we're not allowing this to happen.
Like
And I
there's
think,
not enough rights for trans people and gay
Correct.
people and bisexual people and just all of that spectrum. But to regress it instead of progress it, oh my goodness, I don't even know what would happen. Like there's certain, like, it isn't just marriage. There's a lot of other things that, something that really bothers me, and I'll only spend a little bit of time on it, but it really just, oh my goodness, with the way that the world is right now and everything, I can't donate blood. I'm not allowed to donate blood because I've been sexually active with another man in the last 3 months. Therefore, I'm not allowed to give blood. Doesn't matter what kind of sexual activity I've had with a man. So you can do your mind on that, what that means. But I'm not allowed to donate blood. In a blood shortage that we are in and everyone's encouraged to donate blood, I'm not allowed to because of the risk of HIV, even though studies have shown that more heterosexual people now have HIV than gay males. But yet I'm not allowed to donate blood.
More people,
you know.
Yeah. And it's just absurd. It's an absurd thing.
It's a dated thing. I understand when, back when there was less science on and studies and it's shown that, hey, this is happening to more homosexual males. Okay, yeah, sure. There's some evidence that may support that. I get it, at least. But if there's evidence now that show that people are much more prepared, trust me, when I say that especially gay men are much more prepared with that kind of stuff than you would think. The fact that I can't do something that I want to do and asked to do, because I've literally had conversations with doctors who have not been aware of my sexual history. And then I've said, hey, I want to donate blood. Where do I go to do that? They're like, yeah, no worries. Then I go to donate blood and they're like, oh, you're not allowed to because you've put a penis in your mouth in the last 3 months. And I'm like, yeah, cool.
So that's so obviously that's a question they ask you when you go to donate blood. They ask you, are you
fill in
gay?
A questionnaire,
or are you
you fill in a question. Have you had male on male sex in the last 3 months? Have you
but they don't ask you if you've had male or on female sex. That's okay.
Nope.
Okay.
It's just a rule. And everywhere's different.
The dumbest thing of all time.
Everywhere's different. Every country and everything has different laws. But I know in Australia, and I think in the States it's the same. Some places are 12 months. Some places are 6 months. Some places are 3 months. And again, I'll just preface it. It doesn't matter what kind of sex you are having. It doesn't matter where it's going. Doesn't matter who is doing what. I'm not allowed to go and donate.
That is extremely dated. And I think that should probably be looked at and changed a little bit, I would say.
You would think so, but again, when people say, "Oh, you don't really have to worry about anything being out and being gay anymore," I'm like, well, you can go and donate blood for something as simple as that. When they're crying in the world to say, like, we need people to donate blood, and I have a blood type that's kind of like in need, and I can't simply go to a blood bank and be like, hey, fucking, take some out of me. I got lots.
Yeah.
Because I had, a doodle inside of me. For something as stupid as that. But you can go and have sex with a girl, JPJ.
I don't mean to laugh.
No.
That
I get what you mean.
It's just so dumb to me.
You can go and have sex with a girl yesterday and then go give blood today.
Yeah.
Even though you technically could have HIV. I'm not saying you do, but I'm like, you could have it, but you can just go and give blood.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes no sense.
When I'm tested regularly and know that I don't have it, but I still can't go and give blood.
Yeah.
It's just weird.
Yeah, no, I would say, I would like to double check the science on that nowadays. See where the science is on that. And I'm sure there are people that fight it that do have the science and stuff like that. Yeah. I think that's a rule that should have been changed a while ago, but it should definitely not be a thing now, for sure.
You're telling me, brother. You're telling me.
And I didn't even. I feel bad because I didn't even know. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Oh, trust me. I listen. I've had a wild week on Twitter with straight men. I'll put it that way.
Oh, I bet.
You've seen that. You've seen that tweet that I put out. They got a lot of attention. Like, it went a little crazy. I just put out a tweet that said some straight men can't take a compliment from a gay man simply based on appearance. Like,
yes.
I say,
yes.
You look nice. They're like, I'm not gay. And it's like, I didn't say you were. I just said you look nice. I'm not interested. And do you think something questioning straight men's egos would go awry on Twitter? Oh my goodness. I had so many men being lovely. They were like, hey, it's fine. I don't give two shits. But then there was always the dude every 3 or 4 to say, I'm not gay, but... Well, I'm like, well, you're just literally proving my point. You have to explain to me that you're not gay. I'm not saying you're gay. And by the way, it's not a bad thing if you fucking are. So it's a double-edged sword that you're doing right now by saying I'm not gay. But like... Again, a lot of people were cool, but a lot of people were quote tweeting, "Oh, I'm not gay." Oh, that's so weird. I had the idea of that's such a woman's way of thinking. Someone threw that at me. I was like, "Oh, that's nice. That's just lovely to throw out." But yeah, I had a fun time. I'm like, "Oh, questioning straight men's egos. They just fucking get so offended when it's not even directed at them. If you're offended, that means you do it. That means you're the person I'm explaining." So if you don't feel the right to explain yourself, that means you don't feel defensive. That means you aren't doing that. But like, you have to explain to me. You have to preface it. I'm not a homosexual. I'm definitely not gay. I'm 100% not gay. I'm not this. It's like, well, I'm not saying you are, dude. I'm just saying you look nice today. What the fuck? I don't understand why are straight men like that? Why can't they just accept compliments without thinking it's a sexual advance? I'm not trying to suck you off, buddy. Trust me. Don't flatter yourself.
I don't get it. I don't get it. And like, growing up in the sport with a sports background and playing sports,
toxic masculinity.
Like the NFL just had its first, like, openly, not first, but like there was a player on one of the teams that came out openly gay last year. And he was not the first gay player, obviously, clearly not the first gay player to ever play football. Let's be real.
Boy.
But he's not the first openly gay person. There was a player that got drafted, but he wasn't really that good and he didn't end up making it. So he's really the first, like, legitimate football player who's talented, like a good player. That came out and was like, cool. And like, growing up in sports in that atmosphere, there's always kind of like, one of the reasons that some people used to give is like, well, because they automatically assume like, oh, if a gay guy's in here, he's gonna want to hit on me, or we're gonna be in the shower after the game together, and he's gonna boo. And it's like, bro, first of all, he probably doesn't want your dumb ass.
No.
So, A, and B, what do you think? Like, you probably have more thoughts about that. About, you know what? Like, what?
Straight men are just dudes. Very horny people.
Like, we're just. It's like, what are you talking about?
Like, I know his first name is Josh, but that soccer player that recently came out, he plays for Adelaide. His last name starts with a C, but I can't think of his. You know who I'm talking about, though.
I've heard. Yeah, I saw the story. Yes.
Yeah, he recently came out. He was the first openly gay man to come out in the, what's the soccer world thing called? Like I don't fucking know. I don't know anything
Premier
about
League?
Premier. Yeah, that football Premier League. That's right.
Yeah.
Sure.
That's the big league in England with like Manchester United and all those guys.
They do all like teams. It's all that. But yeah, he's an Australian. And he came out and was like blah blah blah. And like he said his experience. There was a thing that happened in like Adelaide, I'm pretty sure, or it was like Melbourne or somewhere. And there was a bunch of like homophobic people in the crowd that were chanting slurs and stuff at him, and he was just like, this is where we are. So, I guess whirlwind around of whatever I'm saying is that the world is still very homophobic. It's very transphobic. And if you don't believe that, you aren't either A, you're not one of these people that are, and you're just blind to it, or you're literally living in denial because it's certainly a thing. The world is still very racist. The world is still very transphobic, homophobic, so many things. And as much as we progressed, we're still in a sense of like, we can't do a lot of things. We're looked down upon a lot. It's still very much like that. And I'm not like poor me, pity party. Listen, I'm just living my life. I'm happy as fuck. I'm on an emotional high at the moment. I'm not fucking down at all. But like, it is a very thing of like, there's a little part of me that I've noticed within myself, which, you know, I have internalized homophobia. And I don't know if you know what that is, JPJ, but I've looked it up. I've kind of discovered it about myself. It's basically this thing of like, as a kid, you're taught this is the normal way of doing things, blah, 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 man, woman, all that kind of, standard stuff. I've learnt that I have a hard time being in public and holding hands with someone. I've learnt that because I'm scared of what people are looking at. And I'm like, oh, they're going to know I'm a homosexual, even though everybody knows that I'm openly gay. And I'm like, oh, dear God, this is the thing that I'm learning I'm going to have to get past. That's fun.
Yeah, that doesn't sound enjoyable at all.
I don't like any kind of PDA. I don't like being around other people and being affectionate. I've learnt that about myself, and I'm like, uh-oh.
And it's strictly because of
other people's opinions.
Okay.
In my own head.
So not like a safety issue, or just like other people's like, is it both? Is it like, is there
both,
any
because
safety part of it too that
you know what's really awful? I hate this, and I hate that I think like this, but this is what internalized homophobia is about. I'm scared that I'm going to be, say, walking down the street, holding another man's hand, and a child is going to see me and point and go, what's going on there? And then you have the parent go, uh-oh, I have to explain this. And then it's a whole thing. And I'm like, I just don't like the idea of everyone looking at me. I'm the type of attention seeker that's like, look at me. And then when someone looks at me, I'm like,
correct. Well,
look at me.
I used to be the same way. I still am to an extent, but it was about my weight. So like, and there had been times like I'm still a bigger person, but I used to be bigger. Like I was a really big teenager. Like when I was your age, even up to your age is like when I started to be like, all right, we got to relax. Like we're not going to be alive long if we don't change. I was even bigger, and that was something that would scare the crap out of me whenever I would be at work, especially like working in a supermarket, stuff like that. When little kids came in, I'd be like, they're going to look at me and be like, oh, look at this fat. Like, because they're little kids. They don't know any better. It's not like because they're
I'm not saying it in a nasty way.
3 or 4 years old. They don't know any better. It's all, they just see what they see and they say what they see.
Exactly.
You know?
They're just being kids.
And like, I never was angry at the kid, but there were a couple of times where kids would be like, oh, look at the big guy, or like, oh, look at the fat guy, you know? And the parents would be like, oh, and I'm just like,
they make a big thing, and then it's a whole scene.
It's cool, like
it's a scene, and then like
exactly, and like there would be times where like on certain days I'd see a kid come in, and I'd be like, please don't, just see me and just don't say anything. Like I'm just scared
of the whole like.
No,
it's in my home. It's in the same vein of things of like it's the same reasoning behind it. Yeah, I'm just more scared of like. Again, a lot of it's in my own head, and that's the thing that I've got to work past because I just got to not care. But it's just a whole. The thing I have with being openly out now is that yes, I'm openly out, but not everybody knows who I am, and there's always a conversation to have. You know what I mean? Like it's always you just assume that someone is just you're a boy, you're gonna date girls. So like, there's been new people. We've had a bunch of new people that come in at work, and while I don't know these people, they don't know me. At some point, it has come up, and I'm like, oh, I have to almost re-come out again. You know, that feeling, not to the extreme. Like, I'm just like, yeah, whatever. But, like, I have to do that every time with every new person that I meet. You, for example, don't necessarily have to be like, oh, I'm just letting you know that I'm straight. Like, I have to, like, especially women, too, because I don't want women to think me being friendly towards them is me trying to get into their pants. Which is awful, but that's the society that we live in. So like,
that's how
I'm always like, especially when I meet girls, I'm just like letting you know I'm gay, but I'm going to be super friendly towards you. And most women are like, fuck yeah, because women love gay men. It's just a thing. They do. But I have to do that. You know what I mean? Because I'm just friendly in general. So I'm like, I'm going to talk to you a lot, but trust me, I'm not trying to be, this is not sexual. I'm just a gay man who's just, I like women and it's fun. You know what I mean? Like they're fun to hang around with. So yeah, it's a whole thing, but yeah, I'm learning to just some changes in my life that are happening. And I'm like, oh, this is because I'm quite an affectionate person. And when I'm on my, like, you know, when I'm just with said person, I'm like, oh, let's cuddle, let's do all this. But when I'm in public, I'm like, stand the fuck away from me. And that's weird. And I never thought I'd be like that. But here we are. Because I genuinely, usually am not a person who cares what people think. But it's just this one aspect of my life that's a very big part of my life that I'm like, uh-oh, this is going to be a thing that I'm going to have to... And it's a me thing too. I've got to work past it. Which I will, I'm sure. But, yeah, it's interesting. Yeah. It's interesting to go through. It's weird what your mind can do to you, isn't it? I don't mean it in a depressive way.
The mind is one of the most powerful things.
Yeah.
And it can make you feel a certain way when you're 1 second and then a whole certain the mind is scary what it can do. It's scary what it can do.
It's also it's a powerful thing, isn't it? The mind is a mind over matter in every situation.
Situation.
Mind controls everything.
There's small things, big things, major things, like
even little nuances of what you do. Like say as like something as simple as biting your nails as to, you know, whatever you know, doing a job. But like
I used to when I was in the process of losing some weight, I had a personal trainer, and it, you know, obviously starting as a big person, you start doing exercises for the first time in a long time, and you're like, I'm gonna die. I'm having a heart attack. I can't breathe. I'm gonna die. And the trainer would always not yell at me, but he would be stern, and he would say, "You can do it. Your mind will allow you to do it. Just don't push through." Yeah, like, you know, we used to any train, you know, push through. Your body will let you do it. Your body can do it. Your mind is literally preventing you from doing it. And then like you would do it, and you'd be like, well, what the hell?
Yeah,
why, you know? And it's true. Like my mind was literally telling myself, you can't do this. You're too tired, or you're gonna get sick, or you're gonna have a heart attack, or you're gonna puke, or whatever. And he's like, no, your body can do it. Trust me, I'm a your body can do it. And then I would do it, and he'd be like, see? And I was like, God damn. All right.
Jesus, you're right. Fuck.
That's crazy.
But, yeah, crazy. It is crazy. I love these episodes. We just went everywhere, and that's my favorite part. And we didn't talk about wrestling. Well, I don't think we did.
Once.
Maybe we did.
We talked about wrestling before we came on the show.
That's
so
true.
You might be remembering that. I don't think we brought it up at all. Really. So
that's good.
We promised the people, you know?
Yeah, we did. We promised the people no wrestling, and here we are, no wrestling. So I'm not going to talk about wrestling. We're going to wrap it up. This has been a fun chat. I like these episodes. We need to do more of these episodes where we just spitball and have a conversation, because that's the best. That's the best shows, I think. It's just conversation stuff. Next week, I still got to hit him up, but we might be having your neck of the woods come in here, because we might be getting Pluggo in here next week, JPJ. So this could be a bit of a crazy episode.
Get the beards on here. You've been on our show multiple times.
I have.
So it's about time we've both joined our show here to get.
And as someone who every week it seems. As someone who every week it seems I have different facial hair. I don't know why. It's just that's how I am. I shave it and then I just let it grow. Maybe I'll try and keep it growing for the week, and we'll see what I can come up with.
Oh, very good. Yeah.
A bit of a beard going
between
on.
Three beards.
I don't know. But I've still got to talk to him about it soon. But he said to reach out, and Pluggo's great. So we might have Pluggo. Maybe. Guys, trust me, things could change during the week and it could end up being nothing. But I'll reach out to Pluggo. I'm sure JPJ will mention it to him, because I'll likely forget. But we'll reach out to Pluggo, so we can have him in here next week, and we can do this with Pluggo. Because I don't really talk to Pluggo much about anything but wrestling, so it'll be kind of fun to talk to him about other things.
About like just life.
Yeah. Just have one of these conversations with Pluggo. Because Pluggo's a good dude. Yeah,
Pluggo is a real good dude. So that'd be a lot of fun to have like a non-wrestling kind of, hey, let's just chat about life, chat about whatever type thing. That'd be cool.
Well, I'll reach out to him and say, hey, come with us and come hang out. I'm sure he will. He's always down to talk. So we'll get him in next week, hopefully. But you know all the stuff you can find us. Our links are in the description. Between two beards and all that kind of stuff. And everything that I do. You know what's going on. Make sure you watch Fightful
Mhm.
Overbooked, watch Love Wrestling, Twitch streams, Between Two Beards, all of it. Go and do all of that. Until next week, ladies and gentlemen, my non-binary friends, I'm Josh, that's JPJ, and we are out of here. Goodbye, everybody.